everyone. Welcome to Ameripolish Academy Online. My name is Greg Cavett, standing here with Gary Vital. We're both really excited about the opportunity here to show you guys our products live. First and foremost, we just want to thank you all again for being here and hope you've been safe and healthy through this crisis. We know it's not ideal, but we're actually excited about this to the point where we hope you enjoy it and give us the good feedback so that we can continue to do this even after the crisis is over. So there's a couple of things that are going to be unique about this. The first is the YouTube chat. If you want to chat and ask questions, we absolutely encourage that. I see some of you guys have already hopped on there and figured that out. For those of you that don't have YouTube accounts but still want to watch the video, you just don't have the luxury of communicating via chat, but you will still be able to interact with the links that register you in order to get the certification a week from today. So I will kind of talk about that a couple of times, being that people will be hopping on and off, and I'll make sure that you guys know roundabout how to do that. Obviously I can't show you with a share screen, being that we're doing this live portion, but I want to make sure that everyone understands how to do that if they want to ask a question. The other part of this, that those of you who do register to the link at the end of today's video, I'm going to be taking pictures. Obviously, being a live stream from the camera, there's going to be some things that you don't get to see in terms of what's on the concrete with the grout coat, the densifier, profile of the floor. So I'm going to take high resolution photos with my camera, and then for those of you who do register, I will upload you those photos afterwards so you can kind of get a better look at what we're doing today. Lastly, for this portion anyhow, I'll hop into a presentation section that'll take about 10 to 15 minutes just to give you guys an overview of what we're doing here today. Hopefully this video takes an hour or two at the most. I think we're going to be well within that range. But we are centralizing this around our Smart Floor Refinement System abrasives that are going to be equipped on the HTC to Gary's left here. And for the next at least those starting today and through the month of May, we're going to be offering 10% off of our all Ameripolish consumable abrasives, and that would be our Smart Floor Refinement System. So as I get through some of the presentation, you guys will become more familiar for that, hopefully gain some interest, and that way you'll have the opportunity to test those out if you want to. That's everything I have before I get to the presentation. Gary, do you want to say anything?
Guys, if you guys have any questions, I'll sit here and try to monitor the chat a little bit while Greg Cavett kind of goes through the PowerPoint, and I'll try stopping them at certain times. Feel free. This is for you guys, what we can offer you guys while you guys are sitting at the house or on jobs. I'm just glad you guys are able to log on and actually view this with us. Some of the same things, you know, we're really excited to get these out to the market and show you guys. So feel free to fire off those questions. I'll kind of monitor it while Greg is going through the PowerPoint. So kind of bear with us. This is the first time that Greg and I actually done something like this. So this is still new to both of us. So if you guys have any suggestions, let us know too. Good, bad, it doesn't matter. You're not going to hurt my feelings none. You're not going to hurt Greg's feelings none. We got to get better at this also, yeah. So fire them away.
Absolutely, so definitely let us know if there's any technical difficulties throughout. We're going to try to keep things as smooth as possible, but we do need to know about that. So chat is open, we are paying attention. So without further ado, I'm going to hop right into the presentation portion. Again, I'm hoping it takes between 10 and 20 minutes. I don't like to spend too much time presenting, but being that you can't be here and touch and feel all the products, I think it's pivotal. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll wind up putting some products down and showing some stuff live. So let's get
how's the audio? I know yesterday we did a test and everybody said that it kind of sounded like a kung fu movie. How's the feedback with the audio of our talking? Is it good? Thumbs up in the comments if it is. We'll continue going. If not, we'll try to adjust it real fast before we go any further. All right, let's go ahead.
Okay. All right. So sorry about this. I'm going to toggle over to my presentation here. Again, Greg here. I'm going to be leading us through this presentation. Again, bear with us. I hope it goes smooth. But so this is the first episode of our live webinar series. We're going to be doing 3 parts. Today is just episode 1. And in this episode, we're covering the initial cut with our double zeros smart floor refinement system. We're going to do the PG7 grout coat and densifier. So kind of covered some of this already, so again, forgive me if I'm talking about the same thing too much, but some people may not hear it if they're jumping in late. So training overview, this is a full Ameripolish system inclusive of the abrasive portion. So we're going to be using our smart floor refinement system diamonds. There's going to be 3 1 to 2 hour episodes hosted on our YouTube channel, and they'll all be at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time on the 21st, the 23rd, and 28th of April. Like I mentioned before, in order to chat, you will have to log into a YouTube account, but it's not required. That being said, when I publish the link to the submission form to say that you were here for episode 1, you don't need a YouTube account to access that. So the login, or the chat rather, is for your luxury of asking either technical questions or letting us know that our voice is off or whatever you guys want to talk about in there. So again, just touching on episode 1, we'll do the smart floor refinement double zeros, and then we'll do the PG7 grout coat, and then the 3DHS densifier. And I will dive into each of those later in this presentation. Episode 2 is going to be the smart floor refinement system zeros, ones, and twos, along with our solvent color solve mixed with Sherlock dye. And then episode 3, we're going to cover smart floor refinement system threes, SR2 stain resistor, it's a sealer, our Ameripolish G3 burnishing pad, proper maintenance protocols for smart floor maintenance system after you have installed the exact floor that we're going to be installing during this training. So I'm going to talk a bit about the smart floor refinement system. It is a wet polishing system. So some of you may have heard of it. We've been really pushing it since the 2020 World of Concrete. So this is really what we've been focused on and are excited about. It's very simple and very easy to use. It is patented composite resin abrasive technology that can be equipped to virtually any machine. And when we say that, we mean it. As long as the machine has a Velcro backing head system, the pads can be attached to it. And then we manufacture the pads here in the US, so we're not waiting on any logistics or anything. They're made here, and they're made in any pad size or shape from 7-inch to 20-inch. And then we also do have power trowel options, and I'll show you guys what those look like in a couple slides. And then the cool thing is, like I said, it's simple and easy. It's only 5 steps. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those 5 steps real quick. I have highlighted the double zero step. That's going to be equivalent to a 40 grit, and that's what we're going to just run today to open the floor up. You would remove cap with this, or prep for grout coat or densifier, which is again what we're doing today. So then the following steps, zeros, ones, twos, and threes. We'll see 0 through 2 in the next episode and 3s in the final episode. You can see on the right hand side of the columns there the grid equivalents, and I'll read them off real quick. Double zeros is 40, zeros is a 100, ones is a 400, twos is an 800, and threes is a 1500. Before I go to the pad size, does anyone have any questions? I know sometimes, even in person, I get hung up on this portion here, just trying to explain where we're at with this, or hopefully this makes sense. I'll give everybody 5 or 10 seconds to either give a thumbs up or ask a question. Also, if I'm moving too fast, let me know, because it's hard with no audience. We get used to doing it with a live audience, and people can kind of give feedback. We can move on, but it looks like everybody's understanding so far. So okay, so any pad size, shape, I mentioned before, this slide is just filled with different sized rings, and they're at the top right there. You guys can see the rectangular options. Those are our power trowel options. We have universal blade holders that attach to power trowel blades. Is the larger one at the top right, and then below that is a 6x6 pad that would work on an edging trowel. If you haven't already seen the Smart Floor Refinement System video that we made for the power trowel, that is available on our YouTube channel as well. Feel free to watch it. It's about 10 minutes long, but it goes through all of that. I bring this slide up because I just want to make sure everyone understands, as long as your machine has a Velcro head on it, we can attach our abrasives to it. So, I mean, you see 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 15s, 18s, 17s. They're all different kinds of pad shapes and sizes on here. And we're really excited to bring that and offer that. So if you guys are interested after the video, please do reach out. We want to get you guys a set and get some feedback at the very least. So, and then here's a close-up. So this is what the on the right-hand side, obviously, is the abrasive portion that would be towards the floor. And then on the left-hand side is just the labeling. We have, I'm going to kind of try to explain this to you. Hopefully you guys can see my cursor okay. We have the name of the product, Smart Floor Refinement System. This is a product code in here, the GPR11. It just stands for Grind and Polish Ring 11-inch. And -3 is, it's a number 3 step. So these steps here will be bolded out. Hopefully this helps you guys stay organized. And you can, obviously you can say you have a 00, you can file that with the 00s and so on and so forth, and just kind of keep them separated. A question I get a lot is, will the water when you're running wet rub off the ink? And honestly, in my experience, it does a little bit, but not to the point where it's not legible. I haven't run into that yet, so it's a really good thing. Towards the bottom, obviously, we have, it's an 11-inch pad, and our logo, made in the USA. And then this is what I think is very unique about us, is we have a lot number on every pad, so that if something should happen on the job and something's not going right and you call us up and give us this lot number, we have a testable batch here at the office that we can run and test with you without being next to you. Okay, so moving into the grout coat. Before I go to the grout coat, because it's its own animal, but does anyone have any refinement system questions? I see someone's tried our power trowel, so fantastic. I'm really glad you had good results with that. 10,000 square feet in 3 days is pretty darn good. I'm just going to give about 30 seconds here for any questions or comments about the refinement system, being that we're using it on the HTC today. Okay.
And I'll go ahead and monitor the questions too, Greg, so I'll stop you in a timely manner.
Sure, just let me know if I need to go back. I'll jump right into the grout coat here. So we are going to cut the floor open with the 00s and apply grout coat at that point. And I'll talk about how to apply it with a traditional diamond polish after this. But just to highlight some bullet points on the grout coat, what does PG7K stand for is a question I always got, so I figured I'd put it in here as a bullet point. It stands for polishable grout, 7,000 PSI. Now that just means it's a polishable grout coating, and it has a bond strength of 7,000 PSI, which is pretty good. And then it's designed to fill in these small cracks and micro pinholes and surface irregularities that you come across a lot of times when you do that initial cut and bring the cap off. So it really does help to bring up gloss readings, DOI readings, when you do fill in those surface irregularities. One of the things I noticed on the floor we have here is when I put the grout coat down and allowed it to dry, I actually noticed that there was some crazing in the floor that I could not see when it wasn't there. So, I mean, that's a good thing in terms of putting the grout down and seeing that, because we know we're filling those small cracks. But without putting the grout, I would have never seen that. And that was something that I've come across that was new to me. And, you know, we learn things all the time, but I thought that was pretty cool. So I went ahead and took pictures of that so you guys could see it when I send out the images. So the other thing is, this is a cementitious grout coat, which is great if you are using dye in a floor. It readily accepts all dyes to give you a more uniform look on your floor. It has an easy to use 2-to-1 ratio, which is 2 parts powder to 1 part liquid. We look for that buttermilk consistency for fast and easy troweling. That being said, it's just like as if you were making crepes. I think pancake batter is a bit too thick. However, one of the other unique things about this product is if you are trying to fill larger holes, you can increase the mixing ratio and add sand to patch those larger holes and be able to accept the dye, come out with a consistent look, all with the same product. So it's very flexible. The reason why it's great for wet polishing is you will see me here with a spray bottle full of water as we put this down. You want to apply it to a floor that is already moist or wet. and it allows the product to spread more evenly without drying out. So if we didn't use the water, the concrete would absorb the moisture out of the product so quickly you wouldn't be able to spread it. So why is it great for wet polishing? Because when you come off of the wet polishing step, you move right into the PG7K and the floor already has some moisture in it. So it just allows for the product to spread a bit better. So when do you apply this with the traditional application process? And the PG7K can be applied anytime after the 80 grit metals and before the 100 grit resins. Applying before 80 grit metals may result in the grout being ground off and new pinholes being exposed. And then it is difficult to remove after the 100 grit resins. Residual grout not removed by grinding and polishing can result in a cloudy floor. So this being said, I always say you want to wait at least an hour for this product to dry. Really, if you can get closer to 2 or 3 hours, you're in a more ideal area. The problem is you can't let it sit for too long, otherwise it becomes very, very difficult to get off. And we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get on the floor in the live scene, just to show you what it looks like, because we have already put the grout coat down in one section so that we don't have to spend a portion of this video sitting and watching grout dry. So, you know, and we'll explain that again, but it's just leaving it for too long is bad. Leaving it for too short is also bad. You have to find that happy medium. So, again, I'm sorry I get ahead of myself here, but does anyone have any grout coat related questions? Please fire them off now. I'll give 30 seconds to a minute for you guys to do that. And while I say that, if you haven't already seen it but are interested in seeing the grout coat video, we have a grout coat video available also on our YouTube channel. So it's about 5 minutes long. It'll cover how to mix and apply grout in detail, probably a little bit better video quality and angles than what we're going to do today, but it'll essentially achieve the same goals. So I'll let about 30 seconds go here. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about 3DHS densifier, and I will talk about our other densifiers as well. This one here is, I think, our original densifier we came out with to solve a multitude of problems that we recognized on the market, but it is 3DHS densifier. It stands for hybrid silicate densifier. When you apply the product, it reduces surface dusting, increases slip coefficient, it's more stain resistant to liquids, helps with abrasion resistance, it's easier to polish, and it can enhance gloss and DOI readings. It's a very easy to use product. You just spray and microfiber in to the point of rejection. We will show you what the point of rejection looks like today. And ideally you want to put this product down and the floor will look wet for about 10 or 15 minutes, excuse me. Now, I like to say that 3DHS densifier covers the middle 75% of floors, if you will. You have your very soft floors that need a different densifier, and then you have your very hard floors that need a different densifier. And when we talk about the other ones, I'll get into that. But the reason why I like to show HS more than the others is because I think this covers a much higher percentage of concrete floors that we run into. We'll be applying the 3DHS after we remove the grout coat. So we'll run a 00 step. We will put the grout coat down, let it dry, cut it off with the 00s, and then apply the densifier at that point. Again, the question is going to be, well, when do I apply this with the traditional method? Is you're going to perform the main grind up to a 200 grit resin or equivalent and remove all dust and debris using an automatic scrubber and fresh water. Allow time to dry. Once the floor is dried, you'll spray 3DHS with overlapping circular motions. Lightly use a pad applicator fitted with Ameripolish microfiber pad to spread evenly on the surface. Product does not gel and does not need vigorous scrubbing. And as the product is absorbed into surface, apply additional product as needed until the floor starts to reject the product, hence what I said earlier, point of rejection. So again, we're just trying to keep the floor wet for about 15 minutes and then spreading with the mop to avoid puddling. After it dries, this is one that I say put it down, go to lunch, come back, and as long as an hour's gone by, you guys can move on to the next step, whether it's a 400 or otherwise. But about an hour dry time on this at least. I have done this myself on a project where I put this product down to the point of rejection. We went back to the hotel for the night and came back in the morning and struggled to get it off. We did manage to get it off, but again, this is one that I actually think the hour window is perfect for it. This is my opinion. You might talk to some of our reps and they have other ideas, but I just did the lunchtime situation on a garage project this past weekend, so it seemed to work pretty well. So other densifiers we have, I kind of touched on them earlier, but we have the EcoHard MS and EcoHard MS Plus. Those are monosilicate, or otherwise known as sodium silicate densifiers. They are outliers in the sense that we had recently come out with them to fit a part of the market that we thought we could get into. And basically what it's for industrial dust proofing. It is a scrub in with a soft bristle broom and gel and remove process. If you're familiar with sodium process, you might know what that entails. And that's kind of what that product is. I think it's a good product, but it's much more difficult to use than the HS or the 2DPL. So, but situationally, I put it in the industrial dust proofing category because I think, like I was talking about the HS covering that inside 75% of floors, I think I most of the time would go with HS in place of EcoHard. Now, for an extremely dense floor, we have 3D-HSL, which is a low solids version of 3D-HS. And basically, for the situations where the floor is so tight that the HS struggles to penetrate, the 3D-HS comes in and kind of saves the day. And then on the flip side of that, you have your extremely porous floors that maybe are struggling to polish, and you want to have a densifier that doesn't penetrate through the surface. You want the densifier to sit on the wearable surface to provide for the aesthetic gloss enhancement as well as protecting the floor for longevity purposes. We have the 2DPL is designed specifically actually for concrete in the southeastern US or Florida. And that it sets up very quick, comparatively speaking, to the HS. So you want to put the 2DPL on in order to help the floor set up and get hard, and it actually improves the abrasion resistance of the floor and enables you to polish better, in all honesty. So we took a situational approach to our densifier product catalog here, but most of the time I will say that 3D-HS is the solution. But definitely consult one of your local reps for your area, and they'll be able to advise you better. So that is the presentation portion. If you guys have any questions, again, feel free to fire them off at any point in time. We're going to switch over to the live scene here, and Gary and I are going to set up the HTC with the double zeros and show you guys kind of how to put those on the Velcro heads. We're going to go ahead, cut the floor open, apply grout, and then remove the other side of the floor, which I'll show you here in a second, and then do densifier. So thanks for hanging in there. Let's switch over. Go ahead, Gary. Take it away.
Well, thank you, Greg. I hope everybody's still awake. I know how hard it is to actually look at PowerPoints after lunch. Thank you for the ones that stayed with us. Thank you again, Greg, for going over everything with us so far on the first installment of our 3-day seminar, or live seminar. So what we're going to do is actually use our double zeros, which is our 40 grit resins, or 40 grit tooling for your grinders. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach it to the HTC machine. If you guys got any questions, fire them off. I know I tend to talk a little too fast, so you guys really can't see them, but they're just 11-inch rings.
I'll try to hold these up pretty good. I showed the close-up image, but we just used these once earlier, so these are pretty fresh. We pulled them right off the shelf. So like I had mentioned about, does the water rub off? I don't know if you can tell there, but I mean, the font's perfectly legible. So.
And as you can see the floor, we got two different colors. We have one that we've already grout coated with the PG7K, and we just ran a quick zero on this, or double zero on this, to kind of clean it up, basically to show you guys. So we're actually going to run it back over it. So basically just hook it on there, twist them a little bit, just like with any Velcro. And these pads should do on normal anywhere between 20 to 25,000 square foot per set. Now there is some occasion where it might be less, it might be more. It really depends on the concrete. Softer concrete, you can wear through them quicker. Denser concrete, or you get more out of it. Now, as a disclaimer, we have not tested this on every machine that's out there. It's going to be impossible for us here personally to test everything. So if you got a machine that you want to test these out on, let us know. We'll get you a set to run them and give us your feedback on them. But your normal HTC 800RX is what we're using here. We found it to be a real good mate for these pads to get a nice salt and pepper floor.
Again, I know I said it earlier, I'll say it again, we are running a 10% off discount on these through the month of May at the very least. So now is the time to kind of get a hold of these pads and try them out for yourself. I'll double back on what Gary said. So we completed this side this morning and put the grout coat down a couple hours ago so that you guys, that after we cut this and put the grout coat down, we are actually just going to move right over and remove the grout coat here and put densifier down as to save time. So. Also, once this machine gets fired up, it's really hard for us to communicate. We will still be able to read questions that may come across the chat, and we'll address those at that time. But once this machine gets fired up, it's really hard to talk over it with the way the microphone is set up. So if you have any questions, please think about them. Let us know. We'll answer them after he gets done. It won't take but 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, want some pads?
You're good. Yep, you're good.
And the speed I'm going to run on this one, I'm just going to do your normal metal bond cut, which is at a dial of 4. And I'm not going to use any weight, just neutral weights going straight up and down. while he's finishing up cleaning, can you guys hear me all right over the auto scrubber? I hope so. So, Hector, to answer your question, can I use this under the auto scrubber? Absolutely you can. We have all the different grids under each of the auto scrubber pads, so we can outfit an auto scrubber. But the only difference is you're not going to have the down pressure. You might not get as much salt and pepper exposure. So it's going to be kind of different. You just going to have to do a mock-up. But yes, you can run these under an auto scrubber also for polishing concrete. I do have a couple contractors here local that just picked up some for his swing buffers. So I'm anxious to see what those are like. So I did one pass here with the double zeros. And in typical, what we do is two passes. We go north to south and east to west. Reason why I did one is because I want to make sure I cut the grout coat off. So we did our first pass, and now we're going to put our grout coat down. Let me shut this machine off real quick. So we're going to do, we cut it the first time. As you guys notice, I went pretty quick, and I didn't have a real unique pattern the way I ran my machine. That's to show you guys how benefit, these pads in the past, where you guys are using metal bonds and you have to go a certain way because you're going to create a unique scratch pattern. I have not been able to recreate that with our pads underneath the machine. So it's really going to save you time, money, and it's user friendly also. Now with that being said, there could be a rogue scratch here and there, but for the most part, really nice cut. And also, one of the limitations that we do have is we cannot go to heavy exposed aggregates. So it's going to be a nice salt and pepper finish. Any questions before we lay down the grout coat? All right, fire them away. We're going to start setting stuff up with the grout coat. So what we're going to use is our little sample kit. So you got part A or part B to part A. Mix it together, and then there's a good sample. Great. How many square foot do you think the sample goes?
More than enough. I would say we could. This slab is a 30 by 15, and we could cover it and then some. So. The sample kit does, this product I think out of the 45-pound bag and 2.5 gallon jug of acrylic material could cover between 5,000 and 7,000 square feet. So I actually don't know what the exact measurements of the sample are, but I'd say you're good to cover between 300 and 500 square feet with it. I do want to talk about this flex blade because a lot of people don't know that we offer this, but we do sell this flexing troweling blade. And what's special about this is just how flexible it is. It enables for the product to be really easily troweled. If you have a trusty trowel, great. But I know a lot of times, even myself, I've been on a live demo that's not here at the office and I didn't have one of these with me. And it's a real pain when you have a stiff trowel. So a flex blade, if you didn't know, we do offer these. Guys, this was what I was talking about with the spraying the water. All that's in this here is fresh tap water. I'm gonna spray to keep the floor wet so that when Gary or I is troweling, it's just gonna go down even and smooth.
And another beauty thing about this, it's a cement-based product, guys. I've seen it where it goes south, where guys do not miss water on the floor, and what it does is all the moisture that's in your grout coat will get sucked up into the floor if you don't pre-wet your floor. So you got to make sure it's pre-wet, damp, but not over wet. You don't want puddles that you have to actually go through and dilute the product. So you kind of want it damp, but not too much. Jimmy, what do you feel the production rate per step? Production rate per step, like I said, if you got a full-blown 25,000 square foot facility, you should be able to knock that out. I'm looking at per step.
You might be looking for per hour.
Yeah, are you talking about per hour, per day? You know, you're about 25,000 per grit. You should be able to knock out the full 5 steps about 2,500 to 3,500 square foot per day on all 5 steps for polish. Hope that answered your question. If I didn't hit it right on the head, kind of dial in that question a little bit, I might be able to help you out. And I know on our power trowel for the rider, it's 10,000 square foot day, so I'd be happy to say about 2,000, 2,500 square foot of full polish a day per machine.
Put it all in. You want to hold that? So guys, I'm mixing this up until all the clumps come out of the mix. Again, you want that crepe buttermilk pancake batter consistency. So just trying to get all the little clumps out. Yep. All right, so when you're pouring this, like I said, it goes a very long way. So I'm going to pour a ribbon, and Gary's going to take it as far as it can go. How many minutes do you mix the PG7K? I don't really have a minute count on it. I basically I do it until all the clumps or the bits of powder have completely mixed into the liquid. It only takes a few minutes. You kind of saw me mix it up here. If you have a drill with the paddle on it, it doesn't take but 3 or 4 minutes. And I would recommend mixing it in smaller batches similar to like a quart and just see how long that takes you. If you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see in there too well. You can see it's a little dark, but this, I barely used any here. Gary's just about done. So.
A little bit.
That's correct. This is being applied after 1 pass of the double zeros. So we did 1 pass with the double zeros. We'll apply grout coat. And then the second pass with the double zeros is we're going to move right over here on the left-hand side of the screen where we've already done 1 pass with the double zeros and grouted. And the second pass we'll remove the grout coat and then we'll apply the densifier there.
Yes, it's after one pass of the double zeros where I apply this. Now, if you're doing a traditional polishing, I usually do it right before your last metal bond step. But with ours, we do one cut of double zeros, grout it, and then we come back and cut it off with the double zeros again. We just don't want to run the risk of going too high and trying to cut it off with higher grits. Now with the grout coat, what I personally like to do is make sure we don't leave no heavy buildup on the surface. And what I do is I usually, within that first hour, I kind of watch it change colors. And as soon as it starts changing colors, I'll actually take that scraper and I'll kind of scrape everything off the surface of it. And leave what's in the holes, and scrape off what I can first. Just for the fact of, if it builds up, it's harder to cut off, especially if you leave it set longer. What I have the best success out of, it depends what piece of concrete you're working on. Like Greg said, he's ran different scenarios. Same thing with mine. Myself, I go all over the world, so every piece of concrete is going to be different. Me typically, minimum 1 hour. I personally like to put it down, coming back about 12 hours later, get back on it the next day if I can. Anything over that, sorry about that. Anything over that, it could be really hard to cut off. So if you put it down Friday night, come back Monday, you might have a terrible time trying to cut it off.
Someone asked how you approach edging for the system.
Edging for this system. We actually do have edger pads too, smaller pads you can put on hand grinders, machines. So there's different scenarios what we can do with the edging system too. So we do make these pads available in the hand grinding realm. So.
Anything else? I think that's about it on the application of the grout coat. Obviously, we're going to let this side dry and do its thing. So just imagine we fast forwarded 3 hours and we're on the left-hand side. And now we need to remove the grout coat. So Gary's going to get the machine fired back up, remove the grout coat, and then we will apply Densifier. We will be working with this area for episodes 2 and 3. So we're going to have to wait on this to dry, and we'll come back later today and finish this so it's all matching for episode 2. Mike, I'm not sure if you were asking a question or sharing some past experience. No problem cutting off with a Prep Master 3030. I would say that no, there would be no problem with that if that's a question, but hopefully some experience with it. You're good. Is it best to give it 2 passes? Yes. I highly recommend doing at least 2 passes. Yep. Can I get grip pads for my fast prep machine? It's set up for the Velcro pads. Absolutely, yes. Any Velcro headed machine can take our pads. It's almost a universal system, but anything with Velcro can handle the pads. Absolutely. Yeah, I can show the adapters for the power trowel. Give me 1 second, I'll go grab one. I have one over here. Gary's going to keep looking. We do have one on our power trowel over here, but it's bolted down, so just give us a second. It's actually a good time because we are waiting for this to dry out a little bit. You don't want to apply the densifier when the floor is completely wet. Gary, there's a 1/2-inch wrench right there too if you just want to detach that. So, does anybody have any questions about what they've seen so far or why we're doing what we're doing? I hope it's pretty straightforward. We kind of thought about a little bit of it in advance, so. So this is our, I'll try to get a little close here. This is the adapter that would go on, rather our universal blade holder. It just attaches right onto the blade. So you have the arm here that can, this one's bolted tight, but it can actually switch to this side. And it's, so it can fit a counterclockwise or clockwise rotating head. And then the bottom side is, the black is Velcro. It's just a little bit of concrete dust on this one. But yeah, just stainless steel and slides right on the blade and bolts down. So very simple. Gary's also going to grab the Edger universal blade holder. So just to show you, I think earlier in the presentation I showed you the smaller rectangle. So Gary's going to grab the universal blade holder for the Edger as well. So this is the universal blade holder for the Edger. Obviously it's quite a bit smaller and just bolts on. What you will notice is on this edge here, it's rounded a little bit, and that's so that when the machine is riding the edge, this gets within 1/8 of an inch of the wall, and then you can see the pad also reflects that same curve. If you have a new slab with an okay finish, can you go straight to 3DHS without any cutting? I would at least recommend doing the 0. A lot of times people will skip the 00 to do a less aggressive cut. So you could skip the 00s if it's a good finished slab, go right to the 0s and apply the HS, and then do the 0s again. So similar process as we're doing here with 1 step, put a product down, then use that same step over again. But I would at least do that. I would never just jump right on a slab to 3DHS and expect a full polish with good results.
But you can actually, if you're just using the 3DHS as a dust proofer, with it without any kind of cuts, we went through all this with say the Walmart doing the bursting polish systems. 3DHSL would be a better for just a power trowel floor and just trying to put a densifier on it than going with the 3DHS. It's a little bit higher solid content. What I don't like is a whole lot of densifier sitting on the surface. You know, so we want to make sure we get enough in the floor, so the HSL without any cutting necessary will be a better fit for you. How do you treat disposal of slurry? Really, we don't get involved into that aspect. There's a lot of manufacturers on the market that has different kind of slurry gels, slurry slayers, different systems to pick it up. We don't recommend any of it because every state is different when it comes to slurry disposal. So you might want to speak to the experts in it. There's a handful of companies on the internet that does have products for the slurry disposal.
Yep.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to spray our 3DHS densifier, and we want 100% coverage. So what we're going to do is start spraying it. Sorry guys. Start spraying it, and then I'm going to sit here and microfiber it. Now, I don't want to sit here and try to, really kind of hammer it in, kind of brush it in. All I'm using this for is to make sure it's an even coat. I want everything to be sucked into the floor as much as we can. So we like to try to have it sit wet for about 10 to 20 minutes. So when he starts spraying it, and then I go to start microfibering it, if we see where it kind of dries up a little bit, we're going to spray a little bit more densifier in those areas. We want 100% coverage of densifier in the floor. You ready, Greg?
I'm making sure everybody's got pictures. One thing, pre-wet microfiber on the top. So I always just want to pre-wet this so that it's not dry streaking when you do your first application. So that's a 3DHS application. At this point, what we're waiting for is we want this to continue to have this wet look for about 10 or 15 minutes. For sake of time, since I know a lot of you guys are kind of sitting around and I'd hate to make you watch densifier dry, we'll give it about 5 minutes. As long as it looks like it's good, we'll kind of wrap things up. I know this is the last thing that we had scheduled on this episode, but just hang on, don't leave the video yet. I am going to provide that link for you guys to register that says you were here, so that way I can send you the images. You can be registered for step 1 of 3 of your certification, and that way when we turn around on Thursday, you're all set and ready to go. Does anybody have any questions or any unique things they may have come across while using densifiers? Now's the time to kind of just ask anything you guys are interested in, or if there's a certain product you want to see in episode 2 or 3 that wasn't already covered, shout that out and maybe we can work it in. We're very flexible with what we've got going on. So this is for you guys. So it's whatever you guys want to see, but we're going to cover this polishing system at least.
Any questions today related or any other Ameripolish questions? We'll be happy to help you out.
Can you walk through it?
You can, as long as if you walk through it, make sure you have a walk-off mat or something to wipe your feet off on. If I walk out into the dense fire, I usually walk myself back out of it using a microfiber. So if I got a microfiber and I walk out into it, I just gotta walk my footprints back out into, to smooth it back out so I don't leave no hard footprints. But also have a walk-off mat so you can wipe your feet off instead of trying to put dense fire feet marks in the rest of the floor.
Give another minute or so for any questions. Okay, here we go. How are you treating? Oh, that's the same one.
I've already did.
Whoops. Okay. Sorry. So yeah, I'll give another minute if there's any questions or shout out, and then I will switch over to the link and get you guys set up with that. But that is what this episode looks like. Now, when we come back for episode 2, we'll have this entire thing finished and densified and be moving up to the 0s, 1s, and 2s, and then we'll mix color solve with Sherlock dye and apply dye to the surface here, and we'll cover that in that episode 2 days from now. So if you haven't already, mark your calendar for 1 p.m. on Thursday. It'll be the same thing as what we did today, about an hour, maybe a little less. I think we might, now that I'm thinking of it and seeing how things went today, I think we might be at a little under an hour. But just make sure you have that 1 to 2 hour window just in case. How long do we have to wait to withdraw the PG7K?
Great question, Hector. Minimum of 1 hour, and that's really going to depend on your concrete, your temperature, your climate. Minimum 1 hour. Me personally, as long as I can before I get back on it. So if I can give it a few hours before I get back on it, then I'm willing to do that. But it's a minimum 1 hour before you can get back on it. Now, if there's any other episodes you'd like to see, I think one of the questions was about the power trowel holders and stuff. See us polish the floor with a power trowel through this YouTube Live. We'll be more than willing to help you guys out with this. So give us your feedback. Let us know what else you want to see besides what we have already slated for the next couple episodes. We're willing to do anything at this time of need to help you guys out. Give you as much education we can. So
the other thing I didn't mention is I know a lot of you are sticking around for the registration. Once you do register, I will provide a link because this video, I want you guys to be able to have it, but because we're certifying people, we can't make it public. It will go on an unlisted area, but I will provide that link to you probably tomorrow around the time when I send the pictures. So I'm going to take another picture of kind of where things are at now. And hopefully that helps you guys keep a mental image together for when we come back on Thursday. So.
all right, guys, thank you so much. You guys are more welcome to keep firing questions. We just had a couple more coming up. Maximum time to withdraw it.
I'll go back to the
concrete's
live
not
stream.
equal. What process is used to remove scratches after completing the double zeros? We actually use our zeros. So our suit goes from double zeros to 3. So from a double zero scratches going to a 0, we'll remove the double zero scratches. So just follow suit with that. We have the 5-step system, really good. And like I said, there's not a real hard profile of scratches you got to follow up, but yet you still got to do the total refinement. So we don't recommend skipping any one of our steps. So a double zero to zeros, zeros to 1, 1s to 2s, and then 3s being our last one. But the great news about that is it's the same as our maintenance side of things. And we're going to touch base on our maintenance on the 3rd episode. So we'll get more into that. I appreciate everybody who has stuck by. I was saying, please contact your local sales rep, Ameripolish rep. If you guys got any questions beyond this, or if you want to point something out that we fail to see or what we can do better, you're not going to hurt my feelings none. You're not going to hurt Greg's feelings none. let us know. We're trying to get better for you guys. And thank you again for watching.
Okay, everyone. If you are able to see chat, I just posted a link. You can just right-click that hyperlink or left-click that hyperlink. It'll take you to the form that you need to fill out for having completed today's episode, or you can type in the link that's available at the bottom of the screen. I will leave this up for a couple of minutes and let you guys kind of navigate to that. This is your opportunity to register and just say you were here for episode 1. It also has the date, which is, I believe, the 23rd at 1 p.m. for episode 2. It'll be another hour and a half or so, and we will cover zeros, ones, twos, color solve, and Sherlock die. We'll apply die to the floor, and then episode 3 will be a week from today at 1 p.m. So just make sure you sign up, because if you sign up for all 3, we're going to issue you a certification, which will allow you to get some more projects, hopefully. And let us know that you're a preferred installer. So again, I just want to thank everybody. I'm going to leave this up for another couple of minutes and just make sure I'll post the hyperlink a couple times to make sure everyone has it available to them. And then I'll turn off to the credit screen here in a couple minutes. So we can still see the chat. If you have any lingering questions, just let us know and we will get to that. So thanks again, everyone, for watching, and we hope to see you on Thursday. All right, I'm going to switch over to the credit screen. Just thanks everyone again. If for some reason you couldn't see the link, I'm going to post it one more time in the chat, or if you couldn't type it in, feel free to contact the front office and just ask them for either Gary or myself, and we'll be able to get that link to you.